Cultivating better relationships in business. That's the topic we're pondering today on the art of lifing at work with Keka. I've worked in marketing and public relations for 23 years, and when I look back at how much things have changed over those past 2 decades, it's quite astonishing. I'm going to be aging myself here, but my very first PR campaign that I did, I was actually faxing press releases to the media. To which my two sons are saying, fax? What's a fax? That's how long I've been doing this. But one of the things that I've noticed over the last little while, especially as technology has risen and our marketplace has become much more dense, there's many more players in marketing and public relations in the last little while, I find that we are increasingly getting more transactional in North America. I grew up in a dichotomous environment where at school I would be exposed to Western cultures and values and practices, and often at home I had Eastern rules and Eastern values. And I always found it really interesting when we would go to India, where my parents are from. We would go to India over the summers, and I would see that most things in India at the time weren't sold on fixed prices. It's not like you went to a store, you saw a price tag, you knew that was the price and you paid for it the way we do in North America. Everything was negotiable. And so nothing had any price tags on it. You would go in, you'd say you want this, and then you'd haggle and bargain for a price. But what was really interesting in seeing that was the expertise that some of those store owners had in terms of reading people's signals and finding the win-win in terms of that negotiation. And in North America, we are so transactional, and I find that we're just getting more transactional, where if the dollar figure fits or doesn't fit is often, at the end of the day, the determining factor in terms of whether somebody hires an agency or works with other people. But in so many other parts of the world, when it comes to business, it is still very relationship oriented. And, my family and I traveled to Dubai a few years back, and we were speaking to an Emirati there who said, if you want to do business in Dubai, if you want to do business anywhere in the UAE, you have to not talk about anything business related first. First, you have to get in with the person you're trying to do business with and create a relationship with them, but not just with them, also with their family. That means coming over for dinner, meeting the mother-in-law, meeting the uncles, the cousins, the babies, just really getting a chance to really know everybody. And only once you have cultivated that relationship do you then have the social permission to start creating a business relationship and enter into business talks. And so this got me thinking about the fact that in North America, so often we as brands, we have a brand persona. If our brand was a person, what would they be? And we give ourselves all kinds of profiles. Larger companies, banks, for example, will say, okay, our target market is a woman. Her name is Susan, and she's an architect, and she lives in the city and has 2 kids, and she drives this kind of car. She watches this kind of TV. There's so much data connected to that profile that we give. Conversely, when it comes to our customers that we're serving or our suppliers we're working with, we have all kinds of data around that too. But having a public relations background in marketing, for me, the one thing that I think that we're moving further away from and we need to change course and reverse action on, in my opinion, is the relationship between people. If we were as addicted to people in our business as we are usually addicted to numbers, our businesses could skyrocket. And in public relations, so often, when we are pitching a story to somebody, when we want our brand in the news, what we're looking for is what's the commonality between a media outlet's audiences and our brand and what we have to say. What's going to connect them? What's going to make them like each other and create some conversation and create some value out of that? And then we take that as our PR messaging and bring it out to the media. But in business, we often are like, this is what we sell, and you are our target market, and you need to buy this. And we become very flat by way of the product or the service that we offer, and we forget that people-to-people connection. So I'm sharing this with you today because I would love to ask you to think about, if you're in a decision-making capability and you're working with suppliers or customers or clients, What is the connection that you have? Let's think back to the essence and the purity of PR and say, what is the connection that you have with your client or your audience outside of the products or services you sell? What is the relationship you're cultivating between these entities, between these people? If we could really focus on becoming more addicted to creating relationships with people, then business will come, and not only just come once, but it'll often tend to repeat itself. So let's not just look at the dollar figure and the transactional relationship we have, but let's get into the human to human connection that we have and build a relationship based on that humanity and that connection. When we do, business will thrive. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anybody that you care about. If you want to be notified every time a new video comes up, then hit that little bell icon to be notified. I put up new videos every Tuesday. And finally, if you have any comments for me, please share them with me. I really want to do this journey with you together.